Well, we
cutting
didn't, we
too
didn't.
much out.
Ordinarily, correct me if I need correction. Ordinarily, if you're in a situation where we're not where we are financially, if we had to pay, if we had to make a choice between a candidate who had a payback and we didn't have a way to do it, that becomes tough, because then somebody's gonna say, well, did you get the best you could, or how come you spent money we didn't have? And
Yeah.
so we thought it was wise to discuss it with you, and at least later on, somebody's gonna come up and say, did you know what they were talking about?
Yeah.
So you know, and we know, and sounds like we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm satisfied with
Let's
it.
ask a question about the SRO. Dusty's last day is the 28th of June. Our next meeting is the 12th of June. If you have a candidate that you wish to hire, and we wait till the 12th, now he or she has to give their 2 weeks notice to whomever they're working for now. Now they have no time with Dusty to go through anything. I'm just thinking it would be a tremendous help to you, other than waiting till the next meeting, if we would sit and say, you know, I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud. I'm thinking of the safety of our kids.
I mean, how are we gonna, I mean, you people are interviewing this person, and you're gonna know all the details about this person and pick the one you want.
Right.
I mean, how are we gonna vote any way different than
Right.
what you guys would suggest? So,
I
as far as
think,
I'm concerned,
exactly,
do it. You
that's what
know,
I'm thinking, just,
As we read the rules today, it said that the town manager makes the decision, that it comes to the town council for confirmation.
okay,
I mean, there is a possibility that, I would hire my cousin or my wife or something like that, and it would clearly be not an appropriate thing for the town, and the town council could then veto, basically, the choice. But if we go as carefully as we're trying to go, and collecting the information that we think needs to be collected, looking at as many things as there are to look at when you're making a decision like that. We have heard that the oral boards took place today. We think we can bring you a name at the next meeting that you'll be happy with. It won't be my cousin, it won't be,
But
my
well,
wife.
I just think that if we could take and, I'm not, and if you wanna do it your way, that's fine. I was just thinking for the safety of the kids, if you decide on Friday that Joe Schmo's got the job, hire him. Who are we to say
you know,
on that? Because we
You're
need
okay with putting someone to
Yeah,
work,
because,
subject to that.
again, my thought is Dusty's leaving the 28th. That, if he was to give a 2-week notice, he went into his job on Friday afternoon and said, sir, I am done. Then he has got next week and the week after, you will have him on the 10th, the week before school gets out. And he could go to work on the 10th, 11th, 12th, or 13th, or 14th. Granted, they're shorter days, but at least he gets some familiarization in the school, which is not a lot.
Peter,
I-
what it
I
suits
don't-
your needs, if
We took a vote on it.
we had a final recommendation on Monday, that we could call a special or we could schedule a meeting for Wednesday of
I
next week
mentioned that as a possibility to the
at a
chief.
particular time, and if we can get 3 council members, we can at least satisfy your procedure and expedite things rather than waiting for the next
I don't-
formal.
We welcome that, if that was,
I don't believe
that
the
was
chairman
norm.
of the school department, school committee is gonna let him hire anybody that isn't acceptable, so I,
I could just tell you what we do at the school. The school board authorizes the administration to do the hiring over the summer when we might not be meeting
Yeah.
regularly enough to do the confirmations and get people in quickly enough. So we do take a vote in the spring for that to happen over the summer. It doesn't mean we don't see who gets hired, and there is a vote on the record, but I guess it's,
How about if we just made a motion and said as long as it's not the chief's brother, sister, or mother? No, you know what I'm
I
saying?
make a motion that we will accept the recommendation of the town manager and the police department and go with their recommendation on the school resource officer.
I'll second that motion.
Discussion.
We have another candidate coming in theoretically at some point as well. Do we want to go any further and do similar to what the school board does and authorize the town manager to authorize a hiring with a formal confirmation at the next regular meeting? Are we gonna be in the same position with the patrol?
Well, our time frame is going to be probably a week behind on the other person. Now, we're actually doing oral boards tomorrow, and the results of that oral board will then be brought to the town manager for he and I to sit down and look at before we decide who we want to interview, and ultimately, hopefully, the town manager make a decision at that point. So we're probably talking another week, so it would be before another formal meeting that you have, yes.
So,
Because I would not be adverse to doing similar to the school
Me-
and basically authorizing the town manager to hire and with a confirmation coming at the next formal board meeting. Same intent as
Yes.
has been moved and seconded, but it would extend it to
the other patrol.
other hires, and it may well be other areas of, and maybe we need to think about that if we're gonna make a
Do you
formal
want to
policy.
change our motion? Want me to change my motion to say that
Yep.
we would go with the town manager and the police department's recommendation, and I will say that the town manager just call each of us and tell us who it is, unless we really, really have something against that, we'll go with it. Unless somebody raises a real serious concern, then we'll have to have a meeting.
Okay.
I'll go with a second.
Move second, all in favor. Is that helpful?
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Well, then if you get him in there, or her in there, and at least have a week's time.
Yeah, that's very helpful, thank you.
Thank you. I also wanted to give you a little update on the natural gas main. A lot of stuff's been happening on that too. I think you mentioned last time that we were going to take the construction drawings to Boyd Snowden for his review, which he did, not this weekend, weekend prior. And he gave me a couple of pages of points that he noticed as he went through the construction drawings. And we also met with the Maine DOT to see what their concerns were as they reviewed the construction drawings that they'd been offered. And so we met amongst ourselves last week, and then we met with Steve Sawyer, the Cornerstone Energy representative in Augusta last Friday, and presented the combined effort that Boyd had made and the Maine DOT had made, and all of our points were accepted by Cornerstone Energy, and they said that they would revise their drawings to reflect our conversation. So I think that was all good, and you'll recall that Cornerstone said that they would reimburse us for the cost of the engineer's work, and when we get ready to do the financial paperwork for the deposits they're gonna put forward, they were gonna reimburse us for the legal costs of that as well. So that was good. We learned that they had originally hoped to start digging somewhere between Pittston and Madison this week, but that wasn't gonna happen because trying to get these road opening permits wrapped up, the various authorities was taking them a little longer than they supposed. One of the things that they had done was to lay the gas main under the traveled way on Country Club Road. And, you know, we asked why it couldn't be under the shoulder, and they said, well, the DOT said they want them under the traveled way. Well, that turned out not to be so. They wanted them under pavement in places where there was a paved shoulder, not traveled way. So I think that was one of those issues where they're trying to move quickly. They thought they understood. Further conversation resulted in change. So I mention that only to let you know that Boyd's review, I think, was useful to the town. And we found some other things, but that was probably the most important one that I want to mention. There will be 4 zones of that project between Pittston and Madison, and there will be a separate project inspector for each of those zones. And the Maine DOT has got it set up so that they've got the control over who those inspectors are. So we stuck our hand up and said we want the same inspector that the MDOT is going to use to supervise the work on our town roads in Oakland, and they were good with that too. So we've tried to wrap things up so that our interests are being looked after, and we're trying to help the project go forward at the same time. So I've been sharing that information with the town of Fairfield and MDOT and trying to keep people abreast of the important parts of all that stuff. But it is progressing, and I expect that they will be delivering gas to Sappy by the end of 2013. That's good on that? And, and they asked, and the reason I wanted to make sure I asked is, they wanted to know if there were going to be any restricted hours of operation in Oakland. And I said, that's a good question for my town council. When we did the sewer project, you had specified that that work would take place between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. 5 days a week. And if that's what we tell them, that's what they'll do. So I want to be helpful, but I don't want to inconvenience people who are trying to sleep. I mean, I didn't want to say you can go 24/7, but we do want to help the project. But some people never sleep, but we do. So if you're comfortable with 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., that's what I'll tell them. But I thought, that's something I really ought to ask the town council if they feel strongly about.
Makes sense to me.
Yep.
And I'll tell them that's what you indicated.
What if they decide the project is lagging and they wanna maybe work a Saturday?
I think we need to come back to you.
They'd request it.
I would come back to you, unless you want to give me some guidance. But
Do we have a sense of what other communities are going to be telling them or asking them, or if there is any consistency?
I think we're out in front. When I got a call this week from a neighboring community, they were very eager to know what Boyd had put together, and as was the main DOT. So my guess is we may be in a leadership position on some of that.
I guess I would concur on a 7 to 7 with the opener that should there be a reason to do something different, we would be willing to come back and reconsider.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay. Thank you for that. And the last thing that I had, there were two documents that made it into your packet from the fire department. And one was that the fire department has won equipment grant for $1,200 to purchase a computer. And the local match was something that the chief had budgeted for, so that was good news. And also the fire department won the SHAPE Award from the Maine Department of Labor for safety practices and records and training for another year. So that was more good news from the fire department to put in the packet. And then the last thing that I wanted to ask about was we had a request that we said we would bring up this evening from the Thirsty Mule, Matt Borman, who would like to have an event on June 15th, similar to one that you allowed last year on September 15th. And it's to allow alcohol consumption in an outdoor area on that day. And it's supposed to be taking place in a proper outdoor venue with a musical band from 6 to 11 p.m. But that's a question we're supposed to ask the town council. And I s-
Sorry,
What?
4,
What, for what?
4 to 11,
Oh,
not
this
6.
says 6.
It was changed.
Okay, 4 to 11. I thought you'd be okay with bringing that up on short notice, but if you're not, please say so.
Did we have any problem with the event last year?
I don't recall there being any problem last year.
Must not be, because I don't even remember it, so.
I'd have to look it up to be absolutely sure, but I don't recall.
Nothing that stands right out. I'd make a motion, we allow it again.
Second, all in favor?
That's all I have tonight, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Mr. Bowman, do you have anything, sir? Mr. Wrigley?
I have nothing.
Mr. Fisher? Mr. Wrigley?
I went to a KV cog meeting. Now I'd just like to mention that they have over $2 million out in loans right now, and they have another $800,000 available to loan to any business that needs a loan for some startup money. And also, if you mark your calendars for June 27th at 5 p.m. at the Hathaway, whatever they call the Hathaway Center, they're going to have a reception for Ken Young, who is leaving the KV cog position. And we'll all be invited eventually when they get the invitation out.
Is it June 27th?
June 27th. I don't even know what day of the week that's on.
Thursday.
Thursday.
What'd you say for time?
5 o'clock, 5 to 7. The only other thing I wanted to say, the people that put on the party for the retiring school resource officer, I think they did an excellent job on honoring him. I think his family must have been real proud to be there that night.
Yeah, it was very well done.
He had a lot of family there by the looks, and
Yeah,
family or friends, I don't know who they were, but
yeah.
I'm sure they were pretty proud of him that night.
Yeah, I think they were. Kathy Perry actually did a lot of work on
Yeah.
the majority of the work on that. She did very well.
I didn't have anything else.
The only thing I- is when we, at our town meeting, Ms. Prince Pedro brought up that she did not like the fence over there. Has anyone gone and contacted her and talked to her? She didn't like the fence at the cemetery, so it looked like a cow pasture. I didn't know if we'd contacted her and asked her what her thoughts were on that, or...
Not yet, we've
You
been
know.
busy getting ready for
Oh,
the
yeah,
morning.
no, I understand, I just, I was just thinking, I was very pleased with it, I thought it looked good, and I thought it looked nice, but I didn't know what she had a thought for, or what she was thinking. Other than that, Lori, congratulations on the budget.
Thank you.
Nice job, you guys did a lot of hard work, and we appreciate it. So, I had nothing else. Anyone in the crowd have anything?
I just wanna thank you all for the fireworks. Good job.
Thank you, Donna, for helping us.
Good job. Mr. Wrigley, can I have a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion we adjourn.
Mr. Wrigley,
Second it.
thank you.